Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check the link above to my Patreon page. I'm here with a replay of round 2 of a modern friendly league. I won the die roll, which is fantastic, but I can't keep this hand, which is not fantastic. The opponent has this fancy gold avatar, so little bit intimidated by that. The opponent has like this lady with a big dinosaur. I can't keep this either. One land on the play without AEther Vial is just a recipe for disaster. I've got a 3-drop and a 4-drop, which means that I absolutely have to hit two lands minimum to get Reejerey, 3 lands to get up to Master of Waves. Modern's a fast format, and I don't like the odds of hitting those lands on the top of the deck. So I had to mulligan to 5. Fortunately, the opponent mulliganed to 6, so 5 lands. It just gets better and better. I thought for a while about this. I mean, this could be a semi-decent hand against a super slow sort of control deck. Any creatures I draw would be uncounterable. I could get in with the Mutavault, but it's so clunky. Like, a hand with any creatures is going to be better than this, I think. The opponent kept on 6, but I'm going to go down to 4. First time I've mulliganed to 4 in a long time. I kept that one, and Silvergill is decent. At least draw me a card on turn 2. And having it on the top of my deck plays around turn 1 Thoughtseize on the opponent's side. Now let's just check out what the opponent did with their mulligan. They put it on the bottom. So they mulled to 6 with the card on the bottom. I mulled to 4. Let's get that Mutavault out there. Oh my god. It's Affinity. So often on a mull to 4, if the opponent keeps on 6 or even 7, then I might not even play anything out at all, just to make them win, to see what they're on and gain an edge in game 2. Like, they won't be able to sideboard because they won't know what deck they're going up against. And then hopefully game 2 will be an easy win if I have like a lot of powerful stuff to bring in from the sideboard. But being on the play and having 2 lands that kind of give away what I'm playing, I mean, it could have been correct just to scoop. I mean, not to scoop, but just to make the opponent play it out and not give them any information. But had the Silvergill on the top, and not knowing what the opponent was on, I felt like if it was a slow deck, then playing a Silvergill on turn 2, I could draw lands, I can play creatures. I wanted to go for it. So I did, and sort of got punished because it's our worst matchup. One of our worst matchups. Let's jam that Silvergill. Another Silvergill. Hopefully the opponent has nothing but lands. Signal Pest is not a land. And Vault Scourge is not a land. Those guys are going to start getting big from Signal Pest. I'm going to take 2 here. Not ready to block a Memnite yet. Harbinger of the Tide is not a land. Let's play this Silvergill Adept, reveal the same creature we did last turn, which was the Island Walk Lord, and we hit a land. All right, so things sort of shaping up. Now, hang on. I should have attacked there. The opponent was almost definitely not going to block with their Vault Scourge, certainly not going to block with their Signal Pest. And there's only one creature on the board that I could block if I wanted to block. So it was an error on my part for not attacking there, and I apologize for it. Hopefully you guys can learn from my mistake. If the opponent ends the game with 2 life, then can blame my loss on not attacking with Silvergill Adept. The opponent plays a Memnite. Cranial Plating would be a beating right now. So would Arcbound Ravager, I guess. So getting with Signal Pest, these guys are going to be pretty big. I am now priced into blocking this Memnite. Again, I should have attacked with one of my Silvergill Adepts because he can't even block. And take 4, the opponent's going to gain 4, and the game is sort of slipping away. I can play this Harbinger here and bounce, I guess, the Signal Pest to slow the damage down a little bit. But drawing a Cursecatcher, a little bit rough. I'm going to attack with the Silvergill Adept now. The opponent, yeah, could just trade with the Memnite, or he could sort of Ghost block and then sack to put a counter on Arcbound Ravager. Don't know which one's better, really. The opponent might want to get the Silvergill off the board, but if I was him, I would probably just sort of Ghost block and then add a counter to Arcbound Ravager. But looks like he just let me trade. Okay, there's a Signal Pest. Can't attack this turn, but the opponent's going to get in with a Blinkmoth Nexus. not the Arcbound Ravager, so can't block anything. I just take 3 this turn, but the opponent's still gaining life. That is a 4th land for Master of Waves. Name Merfolk. And I just thought at this point, the opponent's at 23. He's going up to 25, probably 27, since if he swings with the Signal Pest, these guys are getting buffed. I'm not going to be able to deal 27 points of damage with just 3 elemental tokens. So I'm going to play out the Master and the Cursecatcher, build more Devotion, and just hope that the opponent accidentally F6s through their turn. I am going to swing with this Harbinger of the Tides. Opponent chooses not to block. Okay, activating 2 Blinkmoth Nexuses. Nexi, I guess. And man, with Signal Pest, this is a lot of damage, actually. Arcbound Ravager can sack some stuff. Okay, so it is 8 as it stands. Can't block anything, so is the opponent just going to go all out? Now, if I had a Dismember in hand, this might be interesting. Sacks the Signal Pest. That's 2 counters. Sacks the Darksteel Citadel. That is 3 counters. Sacks one of his Blinkmoth Nexuses. That's 4 counters. And what else? Sacks the Arcbound Ravager. Now, at this point, he has to target the creature. He targets this Vault Scourge. Now, if I had a Dismember, this would be a massive blowout because he'd kill this creature in response. These tokens would just, I mean, these, +1/+1 counters would just fizzle. I would take 2, 4, and the 4 from the Dismember. So I'd go down to 3. But the opponent would only have 2 attackers left next turn. He'd still be at a pretty high life total. I don't have the Dismember, but I'm just saying this is a little bit sketchy from the opponent. I floated colorless mana to sort of make the opponent poop his pants, but didn't have the Dismember. So lost game 1. Mull to 4. The opponent was not at 2 at the end of the game, so attacking with Silvergill Adept, or not attacking with Silvergill Adept, actually didn't bite me in the butt there. But mulling to 4 against Affinity is never a recipe for success. So look away for a second. If you don't want to see the match result, I'm going to click out now. Back for game 2, I'm going to be on the play again. And this is very keepable. Very keepable? I don't know about very keepable. Mutavaults are slow against Affinity, but they can block Etch Champion. I like it. AEther Vial lets me keep up mana for dumb stuff like Echoing Truth. So I'm going to keep and hope that the opponent mulligans to 4. They did not mulligan to 4. They kept 7. So I'm going to play an island and hope that this weird hand can beat Affinity. Inkmoth Nexus, Ornithopter, Springleaf Drum, tap some stuff, pay some life, Vault Scourge. Ugh. All right, I'm going to take our AEther Vial up. Usually play Mutavault and pass at this point. I guess I was thinking that I don't have creatures on in hand, and Mutavault basically acts as a creature if I want to attack with it next turn. I've got AEther Vial to help me get Lord of Atlantis into play. If he plays some bomb right now, I can Echoing Truth it and sort of time walk them, hopefully, but just see an Ornithopter. Oh man, alright. So these Mutavaults might come in handy after all. Here's an Etch Champion. Opponent's going to get in with the Vault Scourge, and I had to think for a second if I wanted to waste a 2-mana bounce spell to get rid of effectively a 1-mana 1/1. The decision that I came to is that Echoing Truth can't bounce lands, and it can't bounce Etch Champion. So, and if they draw into Cranial Plating, they're certainly going to put it on the Etch Champion. I guess I could bounce the Cranial Plating in that kind of situation, but I might not be able to leave up my mana for the next couple of turns. So in the end, I decided to use this Echoing Truth, and honestly, it's probably not the right decision. Typically, you want to take the 1 point of damage, but it's scary because it's such a fast deck, and we can't often leave our mana up. So I already did leave mana up. So I'm just gonna use it right now. Opponent tapped out to play Etch Champion, so he can't throw the Vault Scourge back out right away. If he could replay the Vault Scourge, that would have affected, I think, the decision. Now, I'm going to take AEther Vial up here, and I have a line sort of already sketched out. And drawing Cursecatcher is actually really nice, because I can play that guy. Playing a little 1-drop kind of represents weakness, and then just pass the turn. Now, you can't always depend on the Affinity opponent to recognize that Mutavault is a threat against Etched Champion. So we're going to see the Vault Scourge again. And that dude's going to get tapped for mana. And here's a Master of Ethereum, which is frightening because they control so many artifacts. So it's a 7/7, and he buffs all his other guys. Now, it's actually not that bad with Etched Champion because we have a Lord, and we can ambush this guy. So he does get in, and this is a victory for us. Even though, things look really grim here, being able to get an Etched Champion off the table is enormous because we have so few ways to deal with that guy. And we're not just jump blocking, we're actually killing this thing. The opponent's down to 1 card. They've got some man lands. They've got a gigantic guy over here. They've got a 2/2 lifelinker doing some work. I need to draw some really good stuff pretty fast. Silvergill is a good start. I definitely want the Mutavault out, so I'm going to go ahead and play that. Let's bring the Silvergill Adept in right now. I might draw something nice. Cursecatcher's a body, but they've got so many bodies on their side of the table. With a 6/6, I can't even attack. I just feel so helpless here. Okay, they play another land. Activate Blinkmoth Nexus. Now that is a 2/2 because Master of Ethereum is an artifact lord, making all these guys bigger, and the opponent looks like he's getting in for 6 here. Unless, I guess he's going to attack with the Master also. So, it is tempting to try to block this guy, right? I can activate Mutavault. It's 3 points, and then throw Silvergill and Cursecatcher in front of him. He would, as a 3/3, 3/2, he'd kill 3 of my guys, but his future attacks would be a lot smaller. And potentially trading 3 creatures for that gigantic guy could be correct, but you have to be really, really careful because the opponent can use mana from each Inkmoth Nexus to activate each Inkmoth Nexus, in which case Master of Ethereum actually becomes a 9/9. So if I had gone ahead and done that block where I activate Mutavault and put 3 creatures in front of him, I wouldn't be able to kill him. He'd be a 9/9, and I'd lose 3 creatures. So I don't want to put 9 power in front of him. I'm certainly not willing to trade 4 creatures for 1 creature. So in the end, I decide to chump block with a Cursecatcher. I don't have any Master of Waves in after sideboarding, which reminds me, let me go ahead and show you guys what my sideboard plan is. I take out all 4 Master of Waves, 2 Reejereys, and the 2 main deck Spell Pierces. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that come out. I bring in 2 Dismembers, 2 Echoing Truths, and 4 Ceremonious Rejections. So pretty good sideboard hate against Affinity. But no Master of Waves means throwing away. Cursecatcher is throwing away the smallest body. Mutavault does get bigger than Cursecatcher with Lords. Yeah, I'm going to save 7 points here, take 6 from these creatures. Things are looking a little bit grim for us. The opponent has Inkmoth Nexus back. Potentially block our creatures. So that draw was pretty good. I mean, if we're going to try to win the game, we need to have some big creatures. Now, putting him onto the battlefield now is probably not correct because that prices the opponent into activating and chump blocking with Inkmoth Nexus, and we kind of want to push as much damage as we can. At the same time, we do want to leave back a blocker for this massive Master of Ethereum. So I think the plan is to activate a Mutavault, represent 8 damage, which the opponent probably won't be too afraid of because he's at 18 life and gaining with Vault Scourge, and then bring in a Lord of Atlantis and turn 8 damage into 11 damage. So play my land. Might not be correct to play Cavern of Souls out, because if I have a card in hand, the opponent could potentially play around something, but that's typically not the way Affinity plays anyway. Like, if they have it, they just go for it. So I'm going to, as I said, activate Mutavault, leave the Cursecatcher back. I don't want to chump with the Lord next turn, so I need to leave a little blocker back. The opponent, as I said, didn't seem to think that 8 points of damage was a big deal, so he chose not to activate and block. So I'm going to bring this in and do a healthy 11 points of damage. At this point, I've got a good chump block. If the opponent gains 2 points of life, they go up to 9. And it doesn't look like they have a lethal attack here unless they rip something like Cranioplating. So they play another Blinkmoth Nexus, and looks like that attack had them scared, actually. You can see they're just getting in with the Vault Scourge, which is huge for us. Of course, we're just totally top decking, and the opponent has chump blocks for days with all of these Inkmoth Nexus and Blinkmoth Nexus. You guys know what I want to rip here, so let's cross our fingers. Because sometimes the magic gods smile on you. I hit the Spreading Seas, and I thought for a second, if they have an Arcbound Ravager out, you need to be kind of careful with which land you put Spreading Seas on, because if you target a land that is an artifact, like Darksteel Citadel, or can become an artifact, like Blinkmoth Nexus, the opponent can just sacrifice it to Arcbound Ravager, fizzling your Spreading Seas. As it went, the opponent did not have any kind of sack effect on the board, so there's nothing they can really do about this Spreading Seas, and the opponent just conceded. So that was a really epic game. A couple turns ago, it did not look like I had a board that could compete with what they were bringing. Etched Champion looked like a serious threat, but the opponent got a little bit overconfident, and I was able to actually trade a Mutavault being buffed by a Lord for an Etched Champion who is being buffed by their own Lord. So tied it up 1-1. Look away if you don't want to see the match result. And I'm back for game 3. So the opponent's going to be on the play this time, and again, against all these fast decks in Modern, it's pretty scary being on the draw a lot of the time. So this is a pretty amazing hand against Affinity if it had one more land. Double Ceremonious Rejection can just win the game just with those 2 cards. So let's see if the opponent kept. They mulligan to 6. Now, it's a really important lesson to learn in Magic that if you're in a matchup that's really, really unfavorable, you want to keep hands that sort of have high variance but can become amazing if you draw what you need to draw. Like if all you need is Spreading Seas for Island Walk, then you can keep that hand against a deck that's really hard to beat. If all you need is one counterspell against a combo deck, but everything else is really great, like with creatures, and it's a deck that you lose to all the time. I don't know, like let's say Titan Shift, right? You can be, it can be correct to keep these kinds of sketchy hands, because if you draw exactly what you need, then the hand becomes extremely strong, and you actually have a chance at beating the deck. So of course this hand could go nowhere. I could never play a creature all game, but at the very least I'm going to be able to counter some of their stuff. So the opponent actually mulliganed down to 5, which makes me feel that much better about keeping on my 7. After mulligan 5, they kept a card on top, so might not be the worst mulligan. Here's a Springleaf Drum and a Mox Opal and nothing else. So we drew another creature. We really wanted to hit a land there, but we'll go ahead and play the 1 land that we have. Now, they didn't have access to 2 mana on turn 1, but they now have access to 3 mana if they wanted. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So let's see what they've got in the 2 cards remaining in their hand. Arcbound Ravager is a very easy target. For sure, I want to hit with Ceremonious Rejection. If they ran out something like another Springleaf Drum, I might have let it resolve. Another Lord. So things not looking great on our side, but also looking pretty terrible on the opponent's side. Blinkmoth Nexus and, okay, they're going to start getting in for poison and buffing it. So this is a 5-turn clock, but we've got these Spreading Seas. So hoping to draw a land here, right? And there's another island. So our hand is totally turned on right now. Since they've only got the 1 card in hand, I'm willing to drop the shields for a moment and play a Spreading Seas on that Inkmoth Nexus to draw another card and hopefully hit more land. Silvergill Adept, not a land, but we get to keep drawing more cards. Opponent draws a Memnite. We're pretty fortunate there. And they play a Spire of Industry. So activate Blinkmoth Nexus. Now they're off the poison plan. And yeah, they just get in for 1 this turn. So we dodged a bullet by tapping out. Still not drawing too much land. I think it's time to play a creature. We have our own plan to enact. I'm really not afraid of this 1/1 chipping in, so I don't need to play Spreading Seas on that just yet. Let's get a creature on the board and again, hopefully hit a land. That island is perfect. We could have hit a Mutavault or a Cavern of Souls, but island lets us hold up Ceremonious Rejection. Now the opponent is top decking. We ripped a Spreading Seas to win the game last time. Let's see if the opponent can make a similarly strong draw. Maybe they're just going to activate this Blinkmoth Nexus again. Getting in with Memnite and Blinkmoth, we're going to take both of those guys. Okay, opponent not playing anything yet. Draw another Spreading Seas. So I think it's time to get aggressive. We can play one of the Island Walk Lords, still hold up counter magic. And at this point, I think the game has turned really, really solidly in our favor. I hit those couple lands that I was talking about, and the opponent's mulligan to 5 is not working out really well. So they go for another Arcbound Ravager, and of course I can just counter that thing. They're going to activate Blinkmoth Nexus, but they can't get in with the Memnite anymore, so we're just taking 1 per turn, which is not that strong. I get to play another Island Walk Lord and take their Blinkmoth Nexus offline now. So, yeah, pretty much game over at this point. Not a single thing the opponent can draw to come back from this. So they're at 10. We've got 10 power on the board with guaranteed Island Walk, 5 cards in hand. Pretty overwhelming stuff. So opponent goes to their draw step, sees that they can't win, and they conceded. So I think this is maybe like the most epic match against Affinity that I can remember. First of all, the opponent has this very impressive avatar up here. So I'm playing against somebody who knows what they're doing. I mulliganed to 4 and showed the opponent that I was on Merfolk in game 1. So setting myself up for disaster, basically. Game 2, we had sort of a miraculous block against Etch Champion and squeeze out a win with another miraculous moment with top decking Spreading Seas for the win. And then, yeah, the opponent got an unfortunate mulligan in game 3. We kept a hand with 2 Ceremonious Rejections and only 1 land, which gave us time, actually, on the opponent's mulligan to hit plenty more lands. This is turn 7, so of course, you know, we're going to have time to do that. And pretty easy victory in the end in game 3. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been round 2 of a Modern Friendly League. I'm currently sitting at 2-0 after beating Affinity and before that, Griselbrand. So let me know your thoughts. Leave any questions you might have in the comment section below. Please check out my Patreon page. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video where I'll be replaying round 3 of this Modern Friendly League. Thanks again. I'll see you there. Bye.